Pilots and aircrew and ground crew love your appreciation. Please feel free to show it at any moment. Ladies and gentlemen, the 50-year miracle, Sally B. This is a B-17G, a very heavily armed aeroplane designed to fight its way through to its target. This amazing 5-decade icon. Ladies and gentlemen, Sally B. Widely used throughout the world. This machine is a Canada-built Sabre Mark 6. It first served with the post-war West German Luftwaffe facilities work. From your right. Sabre down, restored in the United States 461st Fighter Squadron, based in Germany in the mid-1960s. So the Staggerwing was a 5-seater luxurious aeroplane, a 1930s Learjet. There are 6 fuel tanks in the Staggerwing, and the owner of one of these aeroplanes says that makes them the most efficient way of turning money into noise. Touching down in the Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands coloured machine. Love triangle. The Netherlands on the nose. And Nigel Wilson. Second, kissing the runway. The Velis Electro. Sparky! Now I'm supposed to warn you about noise. This is the exact opposite. Electronic aviation. There are plenty of technicians and scientists out there developing larger aeroplanes to move more people, up to 19 in some cases, and incorporate electric power and vertical take. So, smoke comes on from the left. You can see a lot of formation flying today. You can see 2 aeroplanes doing it. The disciplines involved are the same, whether it's 2, 4, or later on 9. Whatever position you are in your formation, you keep your eyes rigidly on your man next to you and on the lead. The lead aeroplane effectively describes and maintains the shape of the formation. Isn't that absolutely delightful? Power plant is de Havilland Gypsy Major inline 4-cylinder with 130 horsepower. watchdogs were built before the war in Belgium and France, and again by both of those countries afterwards. And indeed, some were even assembled in Algeria. Europe, Japan, India, Australia, the Middle East, China, 20 plus countries. And they're here, debuting at Old Buckenham. Keep your eyes on these big BT biplanes. Up goes the smoke. Down goes the nose. Up goes the energy. 150 mile an hour gale blowing against the girls. You might have noticed Cassutt and Emma have tight-fitting flight clothing on. Now, some of you are going to get the wrong impression as to why it's tight-fitting. If they were to go up in anything that was loose-fitting, in that 150 mile an hour gale, any flapping garment would bruise them, and I mean bruise them. Now I know this because my lovely wife used to wing walk, and she attests to the fact that if you've got loose garments you get bruised. She wants also to say that it was tiger moths she flew on, not Stearman. On goes the smoke, they're coming right at you. Back on the stick, pull, 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 brake! Brian soloed at 16, 23 years with the Royal Air Force. And he says he's most happy in open cockpit aeroplanes. So we come around, Cassutt and Emma, eyeball to eyeball. Work trapeze and aerial arts before she joined the team. Down on the job. Emma, who's been with the team since 2021. She's a marathon runner, of course she is. She's a shark cage swimmer, and she loves parachuting. She's thrilled to be part of the team with her best friend, Cassutt. Emma says she's been dancing since 3. Sure, you can get pills for that. When she's not doing this, great look at the swiveling on. Rolling before you, Team Rayburn. Ladies and gentlemen, Team Raven, here's the break. Weren't they magnificent?
This leads straight to the crisscross, where both sides of the formation will turn towards each other with closing speeds of over 45 miles an hour, and then pass within a few feet of one another. They immediately make the turn into the very dynamic signature carousel formation, which is the team's favourite manoeuvre and requires vast amounts of concentration and trust in one another. You may have noticed that there's two jumpers not in the formation. These are our two flag bearers today. So they will be releasing the Union Jack flag all the way down. The final formation of the display before landing today is the Sabre Cage. We will see the team essentially forming another snake formation, but this time with dynamic left and right turns to position themselves for the landing pattern into the arena in front of you today. So today, Sergeant Gabe Coleman Moffat, he is flying with Jeffrey the Giraffe. So he'll be peeking out of his flying suit. He's going to be the third. Still devastating today by the Royal Air Force Falcon! Watching the ground now is the team coach, Flight Sergeant Liam Ryan! Sergeant Mike Atkinson! Sergeant Gabe Coleman Moffat featuring Jeffrey the Giraffe! Sergeant McKenny Quinn! Sergeant Aaron O! Sergeant Mike Riddle! Sergeant Greg Appleby!
F85 Royal Air Force Aerobatics Team. It's ready! Arriving at over 400 miles per hour, hailing our famous red, white and blue. Red one immediately starts to pull up, and that means he's taking the show for one of the widest formations that runners fly in 2025. The smoke comes on for the Swan. Shape in avionic history, this is Concorde. From the right, in celebration of 20 years of the Royal Air Force Typhoon display team, this is Typhoon. Opportunity for the colourful Big Vixen. Colour on, go. In that particular manoeuvre, it's quite hard to see, but the aircraft flying with their air brakes out. Get your cameras ready. Point them to the right-hand side. It's tornado time! 8 and 9, roll goes. Red 8 and 9 roll around the rest of the formation, but watch for the colour change as Red 1 brings them down the line. Smoke of Enid. Sat in behind Red 1 is Red 5, Flight Lieutenant Dustin Wales, known as Dusty. Dusty is in his second year of the team. He's on 11th Squadron. He's also a qualified flying instructor of the Operations Conversion Unit of the Typhoon, as well as being on the Test and Evaluation Squadron. Get your cameras ready, it's the Hannah break. And split. As he comes in at over 500 miles per hour as he lines up with the inverted V of Enid to perform the Goose. Ollie's in his second gear, on the left. Get your cameras ready. journey, another fantastic photo opportunity you do not want to miss. The smoke comes on for the world famous Synchro Heart. Coming in from the top right, the speed heart is ready. Rich Walker reaches in his third and final year of the team, an extremely experienced pilot, having flown both the Harrier and the Typhoon, as well as being a qualified flagship on the Hawk T-Mark II. As Red 8 completes the sphere, let's give the Synchro pair a massive round of applause for the wonderful heart in the skies of Old Buckenham. Trail in white, 8 and 9, red and blue comes on as 8 and 9 roll around the smoke trail of Red 6. For the third and final newest manoeuvre of 2025, Red 6, Red 8, Red 9 with Red 7 hiding in the smoke of Red 6 in the Tempest. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's been an honour and a pleasure. Please put your hands together for the 2025 Royal Air Force Aerobatic Team. It's the Royal Arrow!
Now, as a former Scouser, he's given me a problem. What he's done is turn on flares on the wingtip. These days, as I live in the People's Republic of Rutland, I can say that he has actually deployed a set of pyrotechnic devices. Keep an eye on him. There's a big time when that smoke will be going in one direction on one wingtip and the other on the other wingtip. Ladies and gentlemen, we are honoured to greet the Battle of Britain Flight Lancaster. Oh, that is splendid. Machine carries on one side the markings of 460 Squadron Royal Australian Air Force and the other 50 Squadron Royal Air Force. I give you the incredible Lancaster. Ladies and gentlemen, Battle of Britain Flight Lancaster. The information centre in front of the restaurant in the middle of the arena. They have a dark green hat with a gold pin and a silver pin. They also have a set of keys that have been handed in, and if you're missing any of these, please go to the central information area behind the restaurant, in front of the restaurant, and reclaim them. Let's talk about this American markings on a Tiger Moth. The Americans like Tiger Moths. This one represents feeling invulnerable. The Cub pilot was determined, angered, agreed. How do I get this aeroplane out of the sky? But he got a Colt 45 automatic handgun. He put the door down on the side of the Cub, decided to get alongside it and at least annoy the German pilots. Can he get a bead on the enemy? Only got a handgun. Suddenly the Storch thinks it's in trouble. It might well be. With bullets flying past the ear of the pilots. Can he get a bead on that aeroplane? He's got it. The Storch has smoke pouring out of its Argus engine. This, ladies and gentlemen, the 12th of April 1945 was the last shoot-down in the European theatre, and by far and away the most bizarre. In 3 days from then, the Russians will be fighting in the streets of Berlin, below in the Führer bunker. Victory in Europe came on the 8th of May 1945. Here's our victorious Cub. Land on a postage stamp. Ladies and gentlemen, coming in from your left, I give you Isabel Rutland, North American P51D Mustang, Marinelle. This is Isabel's second appearance at Old Buckenham, last year in a Harvard, this year in her beloved Mustang. This machine was built in Inglewood, California and arrived in the UK on D-Day, June 6, 1944. Find a group at Palmyra, close to Oxford. Plus the use of drop tanks made the aeroplane considerable range. In 1944, like Marshal Hermann Göring said, when he saw Mustangs over Berlin, he knew the war was on its way out.
Flight Lieutenant Hughes was born in Carmarthen, South Wales, and started his flying career in the Royal Air Force in 1989, flying the Queen of the Skies, the VC-10, at RAF Price Norton. Then, as a search and rescue pilot on the Sea King. At the end of this half-horizontal bob, it's now pushing negative 2G, leveling the aircraft upside down for an inverted pass.
Bob's second year with the Tutor display, he's operating at a base height of 300 feet, except for the two final passes at just 100 feet. The next two manoeuvres are a wing over and a ballistic roll, which Bob can use to gain energy for the next part of the sequence. This is important because displaying the Tutor requires careful energy management due to its low power-to-weight ratio. When not displaying, Bob is a qualified flying instructor, or QFI, on 115 Squadron based at RAF Wittering, where he trains frontline pilots into fellow QFIs. During his varied career, Bob has amassed over 8,000 flying hours on 15 different aircraft types. This represents almost a whole year in the air. After this half Cuban, Bob will enter the 4-point roll. Get your cameras ready for some great angles. The Tutor has a top speed of 212 miles per hour or 185 knots and can achieve maximum positive 6G.
Ladies and gentlemen, from your left and initially all the way from Texas, I give you ready for duty. This is owned and operated from Dallas-Fort Worth by the Commemorative Air Force. And it's its last venue on a tour around Europe to celebrate, it's called the Navy to Victory Tour, to celebrate the 80th anniversary of victory in Europe. In the 1930s, Douglas of Santa Monica, California, revolutionized the airliner world with the DC-1, which led inevitably to the DC-2, tweaking it a little bit. And then they were asked to make an aeroplane that could take sleeper berths for transcontinental flights in the United States. And that was known as the DST, Douglas Sleeper Transport. That required an enlarged fuselage, and that became the world-beating, incredible DC-3. With the United States, it was known as the C-47 Skytrain and the C-53 Skytrooper. And as I've said, the United States Navy called it the R4D. The Royal Air Force and its associates, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Canada, called it the Dakota. And the Russians even got in on the act, producing it as the Lishanov Li-2. Ladies and gentlemen, Commemorative Air Force, R4D, ready for duty. Stubby wings, twin booms, holding the tailplane and elevator. Tony has been keen on aviation, as he says, forever. He went solo in a glider in 1983, got his private pilot license on a Chipmunk in 1998. He's a multi-engine commercial pilot with lots of experience, particularly on twin turboprop parachute types, as he spirals for height. He's been displaying this OB-10 Bronco since 2009. Together in the 60s to replace the ubiquitous Douglas A1 Skyraider in light strike. And you can see what an agile performer it is. Great view of that twin tail. It's powered by a pair of Garrett T76 turbines each of 1,430 shaft horsepower. Carries 4 machine guns in sponsons under that tiny fuselage, bombs and rockets on weapon stations, on the wings and under the fuselage. At the back of the fabulous cockpit with incredible vision, there is a cargo bay which can also take up to 5 troops. Here, as they call it, a dirty pass. Flaps down, undercarriage down. Yes, this machine carries German Falcon cruise marking, not trying to attempt to be a World War II warbird. It was ordered by the West German Luftwaffe for contract work with the German Armed Forces as a target tug. Underneath the fuselage would be a pod, quite like the fuel tank you can see on this, and that would be a winch to deploy a very, very, very long wire. And I think he's going to turn right. This machine has some amazing history behind it. The late Steve Alexander, an amazing, absolutely incredible race pilot, got it freighted to Reno, Nevada for the American National Air Races to thrash around the pylons there. He painted it completely yellow, and Steve, being Steve, noted that all the aeroplanes at Reno had names painted on the cowling. Steve, forever subtle, painted the name Lumpy Custard on the cowling. Ladies and gentlemen, we started the day with the Spitfire Mark 16, escorting Sally B in to open the show. Well, here we have not 1, not 2, but 3 of Reginald Joseph Mitchell's remarkable aeroplanes, the Spitfire Trio. Packard Merlin 266 powered machine. It rightly won the Freddie Marsh Spirit of Aviation Award at Goodwood. And Jim Schofield brings MK912 round to the last pass. Classic victory roll. Say goodbye to the Aero Cinematics Wing Walkers. Commercial pilot. Board is kind of Piston Eagle, aerobatic biplane, and was booked. Company and offer flight operations quality assurance. Team Raven, we wish you goodbye. The Juno helicopter gets ready for space. We await the arrival of an aeroplane. I know that I can follow the effect on the move. Battlefield Memorial Flight is now in its 68th year, and it is a tribute to all of those who gave their lives across all branches of the services during the war. Ladies and gentlemen, from your right, 29 Squadron Royal Air Force Coningsby Typhoon. Come on, feel the noise! he lights the torches. Typhoon is at the cutting edge of fighter technology. It's a European program, United Kingdom, Germany, Italy and Spain. Fully fly-by-wire, this aeroplane is capable of amazing performances. Squadron wish to thank BAE Systems, Leonardo, Rolls-Royce, 216, Freezing, runway 2425. Rockwell. Now, take a look at this. This is called high AOA. Still doing the alphabet soup. Angle of attack. Nose up. Speed down. Stable as anything. An exit.